Tonight on Connecticut's news station, the Shoreline East Rail has seen years of cutbacks, and commuters say they are fed up. They voiced their frustrations at a meeting this evening, and we'll take you there in a live report.
Parts of the state seeing snow. What a way to start off spring, and now it's turning windy and colder. Your full forecast coming up.
A harrowing scene in Westport when high winds and heavy rains capsized several boats full of student rowers. How many went into the water, how many came out, and why parents say it could have been worse.
Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you for joining us here on the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden. The Public Transportation Council met tonight to discuss the status of the Shoreline East Rail in Connecticut. The meeting comes amid an effort to get more funding for the rail line that has seen numerous funding cuts in recent years. Fox 61's Jake Garcia was at tonight's meeting and talked to riders about the future of the rail line. He joins us now with what they had to say. Jake.
Well, Brent, after facing budget cuts during the COVID-19 pandemic due to low ridership, advocates for Connecticut railroads are pushing for more funding for Shoreline East. And riders we spoke to agree. People who ride Shoreline East.
It's a great way to get up and down the side of the state. I mean, I travel by boat a lot, and this is how I get home from moving boats around.
Ask them if they're happy with the number of trains available, and you'll hear much of the same.
I think it's wonderful. I wish there was a few more lines, but generally I like it, and I like to bring a book.
More train options make life easier for more people, okay? But you got to have the ridership.
It's that ridership, or lack thereof, that caused budget cuts in the first place. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, more riders are coming back, but Shoreline East still has a ridership problem, and advocates say it's because the rail service is no longer convenient.
I think if they run more trains, more people will take it.
Some state leaders say with ridership still below pre-pandemic levels, this isn't the right time to fund Shoreline East, but advocates disagree.
Before COVID, there was an undercutting project that Amtrak did that totally took away a lot of our ridership because we didn't have trains, because of the schedule. The trains were breaking, and then they put in buses, and actually some of those buses leaked, and they had roaches on them. So we've had to put up with things that no other line has had to put up with.
Advocates say with more funding, Shoreline East can and will come back to life.
The Waterbury line was giving 44% more than what they needed, and now they are the strongest line in Connecticut. So that shows you, if you fund a train line, it will perform.
But lawmakers say in order to see that become a reality, more people need to speak up.
Whether it's emails or whether it's testimony in person or testimony on Zoom or written testimony, we need people to come alive in helping us feed the information to Hartford so that they understand it's really important for us.
Now, that proposal would actually restore the service to what it was prior to the pandemic. Now, that bill passed out of committee earlier this week, so now we'll just have to wait and see if lawmakers take it up this legislative session. Reporting live in New London, Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Jake, thank you. We have an update now to breaking news we first brought you last night right here on the news at 10. The pedestrian hit by a car on I-91 in Hartford has died. Sadly, the crash happened just after 8:30 last night. You're looking at the backup it caused in the southbound lane between exits 33 and 32. It's not clear if the driver stayed on the scene after the crash. We're still waiting to learn the identity of the person who died and whether the driver will face any charges. A 24-year-old man has been found guilty of a deadly shooting that happened in a Manchester commuter lot nearly 4 years ago. Gregory Crislow was convicted in a double homicide that took the lives of two people in August of 2020. A jury found that he killed two Massachusetts residents, 24-year-old Gregory Scott and 20-year-old Jennifer Hicks. The shooting took place in the Buckland Hills commuter lot. Police saying it happened during a large gathering of people illegally racing cars, and they say Crislow had a history of violence with one of the victims. He'll be sentenced in June. All right, time now for a first check on the forecast. Parts of our state actually seeing flurries on this first full day of spring, which is just not fair. This video taken at 6 this evening in Tolland. And if it wasn't snow, you likely saw some rain. Here's Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank Rach, is the system going to stick around here for a bit, or is it going to move on through quickly?
It's moving on through quickly. We have a leftover snow shower in parts of the state, and we'll be long since dried out by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. You know, when you get snow like this in December, we call it mood snow, but I think at this point people would be moody to see it. This is from Glen Hill up in the icebox of Connecticut. You can see the grass is completely coated over, and in the hills tonight especially, I would say watch for some slippery spots because temperatures will drop closer to freezing. We still have some snow showers here from Wolcott through Cheshire and Wallingford, and in some areas this might be melting as it reaches the ground, but this is on the way out of here, and we are seeing those winds really crank up as the system moves out. So we've got gusts out of the northwest, 20 to 36 miles per hour. That's pumping in those colder temperatures, and we are dropping back into the 20s as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. So it's a cold start to the day and a cooler finish too, a day out of like late winter in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees. But when you factor in the wind gusting up between 30 to 40 miles an hour, it really feels like the teens at the bus stop in the morning and like the 20s as we head through the afternoon. So you're reaching for something a bit warmer than you have been using the last couple of weeks or so. We will talk about a little rebound in temperatures and some more rain for the weekend. It could be a soaker. We'll talk timing coming up. Brent.
All right, Rachel, thank you. A scary moment on the Long Island Sound today. A staggering 29 people, most of them teenagers, tossed into the water when multiple boats capsized this evening. 3 boats from the Saugatuck Rowing Club, each carrying 9 students, were swamped by the winds and the rain right off of Campo Beach in Westport. You're looking at the scene at the rowing club after people made it back to shore. The boats began taking on water. Once they capsized, students grabbed onto the chase boat, eventually causing that boat to also sink, sending everyone into the water. Parents, though, saying it could have been much worse.
And the winds shifted, the water got choppy, they started taking on water and they started to go down, but they're all really smart and Coach was out there with them. I'm grateful that the town responded, and I'm grateful that our kids are smart, and I'm grateful that the coaching staff here has trained our kids well for when things happen.
They apparently did. 2 students did have to be transported to the hospital for evaluation. Everyone else was able to reconvene at the rowing club, and thankfully all 29 students and coaches are expected to be just fine. The water in Long Island Sound is hovering around 44 degrees right now. The Stamford police say they've made an arrest in a fatal hit-and-run crash from November. 84-year-old Marie Jean Charles was killed after being hit by a car on West Main Street. Police believe 58-year-old Salvatore Longo of the Coscob neighborhood of Greenwich hit Jean Charles before driving away. Police say they questioned Longo the night of the crash, but charges were only brought after police seized the car and found evidence of a crash. Longo surrendered to officers this afternoon and is being held on a $750,000 bond ahead of an arraignment tomorrow. And the Waterbury woman who pleaded guilty to killing a local educator 2 years ago was sentenced this morning. Heather Anderson will now go to prison for at least 25 years for the murder of 34-year-old Shelley Stamp. Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc has more from Shelley's family on this emotional day in court.
The judge made one thing very clear today. When Heather Anderson murdered Shelley Stamp, she killed her friends and family too. And that was very evident in their victim impact statements.
I struggle every day with a hole in my soul.
Shelley Stamp's sister and mother pouring their hearts out in court, begging the judge to send their loved one's killer away for life.
Please reconsider the sentence of 25 to 30 years and see that justice is finally served. Keep this animal in prison for the rest of her miserable life. This is the only justice.
Something Kathy DeVersa and her surviving daughter have been fighting for since October of 2022. That's when prosecutors say Heather Anderson, a stranger to Stamp, attacked, robbed, and murdered her at her Waterbury apartment. Shelley was found with a head wound with her own clothing wrapped around her neck.
This death, there was no reason, no excuse, no justification. It's a senseless and horrible act done out of greed.
Prosecutors say video evidence shows Anderson going in and out of Stamp's home for more than an hour, leaving with her shoes, wallet, and leftover food from her fridge, all, they say, for drug money.
It's the most serious crime we have here in Connecticut.
The judge sentencing Anderson to 30 years in prison for felony murder, with a requirement to serve a minimum of 25 years, explaining to the family that though 60 years is the maximum, the plea deal took precedent to avoid a trial.
As much as you feel the criminal justice system has failed you today, when she's getting 30 years, I can't imagine how you would feel if after trial she wasn't found guilty.
In answer, Stamp's family accepts but doesn't like, as they do their best to show up every day in Shelley's honor.
She had a heart of gold and always gave everyone the benefit of the doubt, some who may not have deserved it.
Her family describes Shelley as a loving sister, aunt, and educator, someone who can never be replaced.
Our family is destroyed. We are at a loss. We will never mend. Time does not heal all wounds. My daughter lost the most precious gift in the world. She lost her life.
Now, the family does want more accountability for the alleged co-defendant in this case. Now, Shannon Gritzback was arrested but released on misdemeanor charges. We are in Waterbury. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.